It's Where Are They Now, presented by City Heat and Air and Natural Gas. We catch up with local personalities, sports personalities from the area, and Jeff Hall kicks things off for us. Jeff, Vince, and John Adams, good morning. Jeff, how you doing?
Good morning, gentlemen. Very well. How are y'all doing?
We're good. So Jeff, John was kind of referencing to it. I'm sure he said you walk around town and people are throwing you money. What's the star status of Jeff Hall walking around town these days?
Well, star status, I guess I've had my 15 minutes of fame, but I'm trying to transition out away from football and try to make a name for myself in something a little bit different. Really, really good to me and great for my family and just great experience. But, these days I'm helping people make wise decisions with their resources, because I can tell you over the years, professionally and personally for that matter, I've observed that when you make good decisions with your money, typically you enjoy a good life. And, it's nice to be able to help folks do that.
Jeff, I still think you could do just as well if you just showed up around town, have somebody with you that holds a sign up and says, "This is Jeff Hall." Now, it might not be as gratifying to you, but I think you ought to do that on your off days.
Well, I moonlight as a volunteer kicking coach over at CAK, so with a wife and 11-month-old little boy at the house, most of my time is spent over there with our kickers and football team, during the week and, of course, on Friday nights. But you're kind to say that, and I've made this joke before that Alan Duncan told me when it comes to playing college sports or even pro sports, the higher you go and the more successful you are, once you're done, then that transition begins, and you go from a who's who to a who's that to a who cares. And as I've said before, I'm approaching who cares at light speed. But thankfully, since we've got a winning football program over at CAK, it kind of keeps me in the media a little bit.
Well, Jeff, I don't think you'll ever be in the who cares status, because you still made the kicks that helped Tennessee win a national title. But you said you're working with guys at CAK. I'm curious. I know there's so much involved in technique with kicking, but when you're working with these young kickers, Jeff, do you talk to them about the mental attitude that will serve them best if they keep doing this? Because you know as well as anybody how difficult this is. You often win or lose the game. You're either a hero or a goat, and it can change all on one. You can be the most popular guy in town. One kick misses by a couple of inches, everybody wants to run you out of town. Do you ever talk to these young guys about that, or do you leave that alone?
I don't bring up those specific situations, and a lot of times younger guys, for me, I started when I was 9. And so I had plenty of reps when by the time I got to high school, then I think that mental preparation probably would have helped. A lot of guys are getting started, maybe middle school or later on in high school, and so you haven't really gotten enough reps to develop a really consistent technique and backswing and follow through and foot placement and foot position and all that. And really the mental preparation comes where you've had enough repetitions that you can trust your technique. When I was with the Rams, I was very fortunate to play for them briefly in 2000. The special teams coach always told me, "Jeff, trust your technique, trust your technique, trust your technique." And the longer you do anything, whether it's hitting a golf ball or swinging a tennis racket or kicking a football or anything like that, if you can just do it enough to where it's relatively consistent and instinctive, then that's the point where that mental preparation really comes in. So I get into it a little bit with them and try to create some scenarios with them, ask them to think about it, maybe go through some different drills, during the week. But we don't delve into it really deeply, just because a lot of these kids just haven't developed a really consistent technique by this point in their careers.
We're joined by former Vol great Jeff Hall, joining us here on the new Sentinel Sports Page. Vince Ferrara and John Adams at Walgreens at North Shore and Kingston Pike. It's Where Are They Now, presented by City Heat and Air and Natural Gas. We'll do this as our Friday feature here through the football season. Jeff, as you well know, a kicker being a captain on a football team doesn't happen very often. Give our listeners some examples of some things that you did that earned you the opportunity to be given that captain spot, and then also if you can think of an example where, as a kicker, either during a game or a practice or at some form or fashion, you think you were able to use that role as a captain to influence your teammates?
I think everybody probably understands that there's different leadership styles and types, and people lead different ways. And so for me, I was when I was a freshman, I thought, man, it'd be great to be a captain my senior year. Well, in order to do that, what you got to do is you got to play well week in and week out. And I was fortunate enough not just to play with great players and have some success, but also I was able to keep my job for 4 years. And so that helped. Keeping my mouth shut, trying to stay out of the way, which kickers probably should do, is also a good thing, because you never want to be running your mouth, and you never want to get in the way of drills or, in the progress of the team's practice or anything like that. Staying in the weight room, recovering from an injury, always kicking balls day in and day out in the complex. Trying to stay in shape. Obviously, doing the right thing in the classroom. Trying to behave myself off the field. I think it's all those things put together over, a series of 4 years that probably put me in that position. God had a huge role in my life. I came to faith midway through my college career, and so obviously that transition for me was huge. And I think a lot of my teammates saw that, and they saw that it was real, and they saw that, this was a different Jeff, junior, senior year than freshman, sophomore year. And so that played a big role in it too. And just trying to be consistent and trying to be reliable, and knowing that they could count on me, and just, trying to be the right kind of guy and maturing along the way. And that really kind of put me in that position. And I'd say what laid a great foundation for me, you asked about specific instances on the field, was definitely the Georgia game my freshman year. 27-27, 14 seconds left to go. We go out, we kick a game-winning 34-yard field goal to win the game. And that really laid the foundation, not just for me as an established starter on the team, but also in my mind, it gave me confidence that I could go out and produce at that level, deliver at that level, play in a very high-pressured, scrutinized game, being my first SEC game and on television and all the pomp and circumstance that goes with that. So I think all that put together, that's what ultimately got me voted as a captain my senior year, and still one of the greatest accomplishments for me is being named a captain by my teammates, and of course being on that national championship team. Just a lot of incredible memories and great guys that I played with, and just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Jeff, I was wondering if guys like Al Wilson or my friend Fred White, who were very competitive type guys and kind of intimidating hitters, did they ever say anything to you before you kicked?
No, because after 3 or 4 years, I think once the team develops a relationship with another player, they kind of know their personality. And my personality, and you can ask most of the guys I played with, on game days, I was not fun to be around. I wasn't very personable. I wasn't very emotional. I was just very focused and very, just ready to play the game. And I think part of that is, most of the guys would not, talk to me a lot. They wouldn't distract me. They'd kind of leave me alone, let me do my own thing, because that was my personality on game days. And so they knew what I needed to do to prepare myself to go out and kick, and that's how they treated me, and that helped me out a lot, because there wasn't a lot of distractions. Benson would try to loosen me up every now and then, cracking jokes and smacking me on the head and stuff. But overall, especially those guys like Fred and Al and Raynock and Emo and Sean Ellis and those guys, I mean, they just kind of left me alone to do my job. But that helped a lot.
Jeff, we'll let you run. Really appreciate it. Great to catch up with you here, and great way to kick off Where Are They Now, presented by City Heat and Air and Natural Gas. Have a great weekend, Jeff.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me. Go Warriors, 4-0, and go Vols.
Yeah, pretty impressive win last night. Thanks, Jeff. Take care. That is Jeff Hall joining us, former Vol great. And when you see a description for him, it includes in that description, even on utsports.com, I think, John, what you were talking about, savior.